For those of you that haven't been here, thanks for joining us. This is Code Campfire. We do this once a week, same time. And yeah, we go over different topics each time. So sometimes it's something tech related, sometimes it's AI, sometimes it's stuff to help you with your job hunt, and sometimes it's a bunch of other fun stuff. So this week, I had the pleasure of attending the Nashville Tech Council's Education Summit, and it's basically a lot of people going up and talking about the job market, how they're hiring, and a number of other things, and teaching it to teachers and educators in the community on how to actually teach things that companies want. And some of it was pretty spot on with what we've been going over here. Some of it was very eye opening to see to what degree they actually emphasize some of the stuff that we've gone over and whatnot. I definitely learned a pretty decent bit. It was a cool meetup. And I think they do it twice a year. So even if you guys aren't educators, I was sitting there the whole time like, wow, I should have told everyone at Code Campfire to come to this because there's a lot of really good information. So the next one I'll definitely extend the invite. But yeah, it was really cool. It was very eye opening. I'm looking forward to the next one. So yeah, there was a number of panels that went on with it. John Work was actually there. He was talking about some fun stuff. There was a number of other activities, but I think the one that I got the most out of was this. They had a panel of three pretty high up hiring managers, and they give a lot of insight into their day to day, what they look at, what they don't look at, and again, like a lot of what they said really does confirm what we go over here at Code Campfire. But honestly, like to an even further degree than I thought. They talked about what they look for in interviews, and they talked about their biggest pet peeves, which again I think was kind of spot on with what we've been going over, but even more escalated. Like they were rolling their eyes as they went through these pet peeves. There was a lot, so I want to throw out a question for you guys to think about and get some answers here. 80%. This is not going to be a question at first, but 80% of developers who get jobs end up not working in the tech stack that they studied. What does that tell you about the job hunt? What assumptions can we draw from that? What you got, Jamie?
That we need to keep broadening our language horizon and be open to uh, pivoting to another language or another stack.
Jamie's not wrong, but there's a core answer here I'm looking for. He's still surrounding it. Why? What is it? We can't move on until somebody answers it. So we could be here for the next hour just guessing.
I got
Um,
this.
Yeah, what you
I
got,
want to
Will?
say it's showing that you're flexible, trainable, learn quickly.
So let me rephrase the question. Just because you are going to more than likely join a different tech stack than the one you're studying now does not is not I'm not saying that you should be going out and just learn a tech stack, learn a tech stack, learn a tech stack. That's not at all what I'm saying. In fact, I think you should stay in one tech stack as long as you can and learn as much as you possibly can about it, even though you are likely to go into a different tech stack when you get a job. So rephrasing that, I'm not asking you to show that you are flexible, even though we need to show that, right? But what does it tell us? Not about what you need to do in the job hunt. What does it tell you about what they're looking for in the job hunt if most developers end up not even staying in the same tech stack that they were in before?
People who are willing to learn and can learn fast.
Bingo. They made the biggest deal out of not caring. I mean, they do. We'll come back to this. They made the biggest deal about how they're not looking for you to be an expert in the code. They're just not. Obviously, you need to know some of what you're doing to get there. But through a conversation, they can understand what kind of person you are. Are you teachable? Are you going to learn? They know that you know the foundations. They know you went to NSS. They know that, right? So this brings us into so many other topics. It brings us into a topic of, using AI to code. And what exactly does that look like in an interview? Because I've had that conversation with a lot of you guys, and I think we brought it up like last week or the week before. Somebody even said, what happens if I'm using AI to code a lot of stuff and they ask me to write this algorithm or something? We covered that whole topic, right? So the first point I want to make on this is you're completely right, Dylan. They're not looking for you to be an expert in the code. They do want you to know how to code. They want you to know all of that, but they know if you've learned one tech stack, you can likely learn another. They are looking for culture fits. They are looking for, and usually, a good culture fit is going to be someone who can learn and can communicate well, right? That's like everybody's dream employee. Oh, he communicates well, and they do their job, and they communicate when they're not able to do their job because they're blocked or whatever, right? That was like a big pet peeve that they brought up in the panel was, I swear this woman brought it up like 4 times and just rolled her eyes every time. She's like, it just kills me when people are like, oh, yeah, how are you doing? Are you making progress? Are you good to go? And it's like 2 days before the deadline. They're like, no, actually, I've been like blocked for the last week. Why didn't you tell anyone? Right? Like you've got to tell someone. You've got to talk to people. So your soft skills matter so much more than your hard skills. And for a while, I actually kind of thought it was about neck and neck, but after yesterday's thing, I'm a big believer that I think your soft skills are a lot more important. Now, granted, Greg Billings in here, and I'm interested to hear his thing on it if he's here. I know he's got his camera off and whatnot, but he is on the development side. He's not just he's not a hiring manager. So you do need to know your stuff, at least to a certain degree, of when you go into these interviews and the higher up interviews, as to whether or not you're going to do well with it. Now, if you absolutely botch the first interview, you're probably not going to get to the second interview anyways. But if you communicate really well and you've had a really good first interview that is almost always going to be with that HR person, then you're going to have more leverage going into that next interview, because more than likely they were like, he's all right, go for the interview. Or, nah, this dude sucks, don't interview with him. Or, hey, this dude was great. Like I think he'd be a really good fit, just depending on what you think. Greg, if you're in here, is that pretty accurate to what you'd probably see in the day-to-day?
Yeah, I mean, basically how I've always seen it done is like there's a phone screening that happens first with the HR rep or the recruiter. And that's like it's used to like validate the things on your resume, answer the HR questions like, are you authorized to work in the United States, like those types of things. But it is definitely also used as like, are you a good communicator? Like, especially like when I'm talking to my recruiters and I'm saying like, these are the things I'm looking for, they craft like certain questions and things that they're looking for as a part of that phone screening. And they're only going to send me people that they think align with what I've specifically told them. So they're looking for things on your resume that like I'm looking for. If like, for example, like I'll say, I'm not really interested in like if they know C#, say, like I'm perfectly fine if they know Java or like, TypeScript or like any kind of programming language, but I am looking to see like, have they handled deployments to some cloud before? Like, have they done some kind of cloud development, something like that? So, they'll ask questions around those types of things. And like specifically, I'll be like, hey, I need someone that is really good at communicating. The person in this role is going to be in meetings with our CEO, and they need to be able to be, very concise and to the point and understand how to communicate in that type of environment. And so they'll ask questions about things like that and just get a feel for their communication patterns and stuff before they send those back to me.
I love that last thing you said, Greg, because that's like again, we always talk about the question behind the question. If you guys don't know what that means, it's like, when I ask you, like, tell me about who you are, right? I may not be asking, and I actually made this point yesterday, I may not be asking, tell me about your hobbies and all these other things. They want to see, like usually they said this verbatim yesterday. They said, if I tell you, yeah, give me like your 2-minute like elevator pitch and you ramble for 10 minutes, I'm immediately not going to hire you because you rambled when I explicitly said 2 minutes and then you just talked. Now, granted, they know you're nervous. They know you're not going to get everything perfect, which is a whole other topic. But, yeah, what Greg said there is pretty spot on. Like, sometimes the question they're asking is not exactly the question they're asking, right? They may not really care about what hobbies you have, but they want to, just even from that little 2-minute ramble, they can tell kind of what person you are. And from there, I mean, they all three of the people on this panel, at least in this one specific panel from the HR or from the hiring managers, every single one of them said within that first "Who are you?" question, I would say about 95% of the time, I've already made up my mind as to whether or not I'm going to move you on to the next interview. So that is anyone. I know I've worked with Darren. I've worked with you. I've worked with I don't know if Keaton's in here. I've worked with him a little bit. I've worked with Jason. I've worked with, I think, Giovanni a little bit. Like, I've worked with some of you guys to a certain degree on some of your doing your interviews and everything. And the one that I always ask you is, tell me about who you are. And it's because it's so important. I think it is wildly important. It doesn't sound like it. And really, the question itself is not that important. It's simply, are you going to convey the things that they're looking for, right? Are they to the point? Are they going to ramble? Are they going to be really closed up and just talk for 15 seconds and then shut up? Are they telling me about things that I have no idea about and didn't provide me any context, which in that case tells me that you don't know how to communicate well, right? So there's a lot to be considered there. I give like pretty much the same, at least I did. I haven't interviewed in a while. But like back when I was like really, really practicing interviewing and trying to get a job, I used like the same elevator pitch every single time. Like it was like almost like a script that I memorized, right? To a certain degree, but it was always pretty much the same thing. I talked about, I went to college for animation, left college, ended up working several odd jobs, went to insurance. From insurance, I got licensed in life, health, property, casualty. From there, I left and I started an LLC, doing marketing, websites, blah, blah, blah. I knew nothing about development, but I was making WordPress sites, learned this and this, did it for about a year, ended up enrolling in NSS, did NSS and the LLC at the same time, whatever, right? So, I mean, I give them a little bit of my background. I'm like, you don't need to go through like your entire job history. I bring up the insurance thing because a lot of the places that I was interviewing at was healthcare. And if you have an idea of what insurance is, oh, he was licensed in insurance. Like, well, he has to know something. I didn't know anything about it. No. But yeah, like it was just something to give me a leg up, right? It also showed that I'm always jumping and trying to learn something new. Also something that could count against me because it's like, oh, well, he hasn't stuck with a job, for more than a year at a time. He's just constantly going to the next thing. So, yeah. So there are a number of things that we're going to cover here. Sorry, I'm pulling my notes here. But yeah, like keep that in the back of your head, guys. Like there is a mixture of you need to be learning something new and also being in the job hunt. And that brings me to my next point here was like applications. I have never been more certain in my life. And Greg, I actually love your input here, are just completely dead. I do not think any of you, especially as juniors, should be applying at all. To be completely blunt. In fact, some of the hiring managers, yes, your resume is important. I'm going to specify that before I say this. A lot of them said, at least for that first interview, I may not look over that resume so much. Now, if you get to somebody like Greg, he's probably looking at your resume, right? And I would assume that these hiring managers are a little oddball on it, right? Because I would assume they're at least looking at it a little bit, right? But either way, at some point, someone is going to do an in-depth look at your resume. Greg, I'd love your input on that. How often do you really read through? Do you read through everything? Do you ask them questions about the resume? Is it just something you kind of guide through once it gets to your table? Do you think your hiring managers are looking at it? What are your thoughts there, man?
Yeah. I mean, like our recruiter, so the way that our recruiter finds people typically is through LinkedIn. So he's like LinkedIn recruiter and he has specific filters. Like it's pretty, like LinkedIn recruiter is pretty powerful in terms of like filtering based on experience and things. So he'll find people based on some of the criteria that we're looking for. He also has like certain filters turned on to where like if people directly apply, it will automatically filter like applications coming in. I mean, the thing that I think we've talked about in other meetings is just recruiters are getting flooded with applications right now. Extensively. I mean, there was one that was a position for my company that was open in Boston for 24 hours, and they got over 1,000 applications for it, like within that 24-hour time. And so they just turned off applications for it at that point because they already had more than they could handle. And so in any kind of environment like that, your recruiters are going to really crank up the filters that they do. And so they're going to get, whereas before, if it was slower, maybe they were looking for people that matched 80% of what they were looking for. When you have so many applications come in, 80% of 1,000 might be 200, but like if they turn it up to like 90, 95%, now they're getting down to like 75, 100 applications that they go through instead. So, it's something to keep in mind. If you don't necessarily exactly match the criteria that are in the job postings, it's very unlikely in this type of market that you're going to get a response. And like that even goes for me, like if I were applying for like a director role right now with my current title, it's very unlikely that I would hear back for things like that as well. So it's kind of just all over the board at the moment, but especially like for juniors right now, I'd say. Once you get in though, like, I mean, I do ask questions about your resume. I ask kind of like star-based questions about like, what was the situation with this? How did you handle it? What were some of the challenges? Stuff like that.
I'd like to back up on that for a second, because I feel like I kind of honed in on like, applications themselves are useless, but I'll tell a story here and I'll also kind of narrow this down. Is again, you do need a solid resume. You do. Again, it comes across somebody like Greg or even the hiring manager, like, and they're looking through it, like, regardless of how much they're looking through it, you should have a solid resume, right? It is a reflection of you, right? Imagine if you went out and wrote a website and just pieced it together and it looked like crap and you told everyone it was yours, like, congrats, your name's on that. Are you proud of that? Probably not, right? Your resume, I see it's the same way. And it's also the only thing that can possibly, at that point, communicate to that whoever it is, maybe a Greg, maybe a hiring manager, that you are that specific role. I'll give you an example. I bring up Omar a lot. Omar is a guy that I met years ago, and I mentored him for a little bit, and he finally let him get a job. And the way he got his job was, it was like super random. 40AU here in Nashville was hiring for, they do this like weird thing where you can get hired in to other companies, so it's I don't know exactly why they do it. I don't know their whole process, but I feel like it's something along the lines of 40AU does a really good job of filtering culture fits, as well as they'll assume some of the risk up front essentially and hire, let's say they hire Dylan on, and Dylan would work for 6 months as a contractor, and if it doesn't work out during that time, then they'll give him the boot. I think it's also a mixture of, sometimes they're testing out clients to see, is this client going to be a train wreck? And, if we bring Dylan on and 3 other people, are we going to have an issue with filling their spot if this client backs out or something? So there's a lot of areas there that I'm sure I don't even know half of, but regardless, 40AU does that pretty often. And so Omar applied. I've been teaching him a lot about QA, which is my day-to-day job usually. And from that, Omar lived in Houston. And randomly, I don't know how many clients 40AU has in Houston, but I don't think it's much, if any. This random company said, hey, we really need somebody in Houston to do in-person QA that can specialize in this and this and this. And Omar had learned all 3 of the things that they were asking for over the last couple of months. And he had it on his resume and went to go. And he'd already interviewed with 40AU. And they had told him, no, like, we don't have anything. And he kept following up. And eventually they were like, hey, actually, we do think we have something for you. And it would be like 15 minutes away from him. The other thing I'll say on that too, I mean, again, like Omar got very lucky on it, but I think at some point, like it will happen. Like if you are special, if you're doing really well with something, if you are learning a tech stack and doing really well with it, and they're, somebody like Greg is sitting there saying, hey, I want this specific thing and this and this and this, then, eventually you're going to have someone, or you're going to end up falling into the, into the lap of whoever it is that's looking for it. Right. So, my point in saying that though is the people from yesterday, the hiring managers basically end up saying, every single one of them said, I might look at a resume like from someone off the street type of thing, like once a year. And I think really what they were saying is not like, oh, I'm just not reading resume. Like, no, I think they are just not looking at the applications. They made such a big deal about like, it's just such a less risk to find someone who is being recommended internally or from somebody internally than it is to just take some random person off of the street. I mean, like statistically and everything, like it's proven to yield a better outcome for these companies, right? And same thing for you, right? If Jamie goes and gets a job with some random company and he doesn't know anybody there and they don't know him, like odds are it's just, it may not be a good match, and maybe it's a good match for them, but maybe Jamie just freaking hates his job, right? So it could be either or. There's this like AI coding elephant in the room of like, how much code can I let the AI write? Like what should I be doing? And I know we have these AI projects here at Code Campfire, and I know that you guys are learning a ton on them, and you're moving at the speed of light with stuff, which is really impressive. But we also tell you like, you need to section things off into files. You need to be making sure that you're actually reading through what it's doing, right? There's a number of layers that we've gone in there, but somebody asked me in one of the other meetups, if I'm just having AI write everything, I don't necessarily think AI should be writing everything for you, but if I'm having AI write a bunch of my code and my coding skills, my hard coding skills are lacking, and someone asks me to write some algorithm and I can't write it well, I straight up told the guy, I think you should pull up Claude and ask Claude to write it right then and there. It's like, but what if the recruiter or some, whoever I'm interviewing with tells me, no, I want you to write it? And I told them my response to that personally in an interview, without being a smartass, without being super rude about it, say, look, you asked me for a result, you asked me for an outcome, and I gave you that outcome. I was able to communicate to this tool to give me the outcome that you asked for and gave it, right? So we talked about that at yesterday's conference as well, which is an interesting kind of concept to dance around, because it was a lot of people saying that there was like a few people who were like weird about AI code. They're like, oh, you better be like reading every single little bit of it, every single line, every single everything. I mean, I think at you guys' level, you should be, depending on the project. I might not be. For example, I met a guy the other week who writes code for little bots that they drop into your bloodstream to help with blood clots. There is no way that guy is just going into Claude and telling it to like write a whole bunch of random crap, right? I mean, he might be for certain sections, but he's not just over there like, oh, like, why isn't this working, Claude? Like, no, he is very intimate with this code, I guarantee it, right? But I think the way that a lot of these AI tools can help you guys is to, it used to take forever for you to get, your feature set, even just to log in set up, and like you can get that set up and get a faster understanding of what all is happening at what steps and how your auth tokens work, how your entire system works as a whole, rather than taking 2 months to go through and learn that and figure it all out for the first time and set it up for the first time. You have an opportunity to go a little bit faster and be able to have a conversation at a higher overview, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, and I told them, I actually asked that exact thing that I mentioned earlier was, if I was in an interview and I said, you asked me for a result here and, I know you're asking me to write it, but technically I did, you didn't really ask me to write it. You asked me to give you a result here and I gave it to you. Greg, I'd be curious on your thoughts on that too, man. Like if I could even, as long as you can talk to the code, as long as you can actually walk through it and point out like, oh, it could have done this or it could have done that better or whatever it is, which If you're not actually reading your code, then no, like you're not going to be able to do that. And in that case, yeah, it's a red flag. But they were like, as long as you can actually understand the difference between good and bad code and good and bad structure, they were like, we could care less if you write it with elephant poop or an AI.
Yeah, I mean, I'd agree. I think we've talked at length that AI can generate really good code, but it needs guidance to do that. And so uh, the architecture, understanding architecture, security, like all those types of things are really important to be able to drive what you want. A really good example yesterday. I asked it to solve a Kubernetes issue for me with environment variables that weren't being pulled into like a Helm chart correctly. And its solution was to remove them from secrets and just hard code them within the config. And I was like, I like replied back. I was like, that doesn't seem like the best secure solution. And it was like, you're absolutely right. And so you still need to guide it and understand how those things work to be able to use it effectively.
Yeah, 100%. It's almost, I almost feel like I could make millions of dollars of just posting like, I told my AI to do this and then it did this, and like just making memes from that. Like, you could do so much with it. There is a lot of time. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of times where it's really helped me come up with some creative solutions. But again, I'm prompting it to do that. I'm controlling the conversation and leading it to it. But overall, I mean, it's, yeah, go ahead, Greg.
I was gonna say too, one thing that like my work is like dealing with right now is the use of like Figma Make and Claude Code and things like that have really democratized the concept of building mockups, like very sophisticated, very like functioning mockups with things. The result of that is product managers typically don't write out like requirement docs anymore. Like they hand us a like working prototype deployed in like Netlify for something, that are like even branded to our company and stuff. So the result of that is pretty incredible and powerful. I guess maybe the negative or the challenge of that is you get a lot thrown at you now in terms of different ideas and different ways things can work, and because people can see it and click on it and see things happening, it feels very real. And then there's sometimes a misrepresentation of what it actually takes to move something like from a prototype like that into like a productionalized system, that's secure and working and things like that. So I do see that becoming a challenge, especially as like some of these tools continue to grow, like in the next year, 2 years, where it's like developers and teams are going to have to figure out how to communicate and how to work in an environment where you could have the CEO of your company handing you a effectively working prototype of something and then being confused as to why it could take, a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks to get that into production when he says it took me 10 minutes to put this together. So that is something that like people are going to have to figure out how to deal with in terms of like AI, just from an operational standpoint of it.
Yeah, I think that, and I mean, there's so many things to navigate with it in terms of a gun on a list. But yeah, I mean, you're completely right. Like there's a lot of things it's making easier, and then there's a lot of things that it's making harder. So I mean, I could spend a whole other talk on talking about that, but no, I mean, you're completely right though on it, Greg. We actually made some updates to the Code Campfire site, and I'm still working on that as of today in the last few days. Especially from the meeting yesterday, I'm certain that these tools are exactly what not only juniors but people in the job search need. I think that if you're not using certain tools to help you in your job hunt, then you are wasting your time. They like, for me, if I am reaching out to somebody every single day, and we have the 90-day program that we've just started, if you're reaching out to one person every day on average, and it takes you 3 months to get, a job, and you're getting it through those connections, I promise you that you are not going to remember all 90 people that you reached out to. I promise you're not going to remember what you guys talked about. You're not going to remember when you told them you reached back out or anything else. Darren, you remember a couple months ago we got you in touch with that one guy on LinkedIn? I know you reached back out. Did you guys ever actually get on the phone and talk?
No, because I moved and I have to follow up with him still. So
Yeah.
that's on me completely.
But
But
there's the point
he
is
was very
it's on
independent.
Darren. It's on Darren. Right? I'm beating you up for it. But I mean, it's not just you. Like, that was a big problem with me was I wasn't tracking stuff. I had there was one point where I had 2 different applications come to me and I was like, is someone actually talking to me on my job hunt? And it was just, and I was like, who is this? Like, is this a follow-up? It's oh, this is HCA. I thought I applied. Turns out it wasn't from the place that I applied. It was a whole different team, reaching out about something. If you're not tracking everything that's going on with it, with your job hunt, you're going to forget things and you're going to miss out on opportunities. And I guarantee in my job hunt, I did 100%. I'm sure there were emails that I missed. I'm sure that there were things that I didn't understand or context that I mixed up or whatever. I'm going to share my screen here real quick, and I want to show you guys some of the stuff that we're putting together. And this is only growing from here. We just rebuilt the entire site. I would say at least half the code in there has been completely stripped out and redone. So in terms of UI, you're not going to see a lot of differences, but in terms of features, you will see a difference. So I'll show you guys here. All right. I need to hide all of Zoom's bleh. There we go.
A lot of miscellaneous photos, folders.
Yeah. But yeah, so we'll close this game. So if you guys have logged in here, you've seen this. This is all of our events coming up. You have joined projects, you have weekly meets, and you have your job tracker, which is the one that I want to talk about here for a minute. You were supposed to be hidden. No, you're not. Now they all know how horrible I am with my tab management. Whatever.
That doesn't give you anxiety?
It doesn't when I hide them away. That's after a day of how many things, then I close them all out the next morning. So, yes, it gives me anxiety, but no, I don't deal with it until, yeah. And yeah,
I get the twitching.
These are coming up because of some, it's really annoying. I'm about to uninstall it, but it's a Chrome extension supposed to help me manage them, and it's not. It's doing the exact opposite. So I just haven't taken time this week to sit down and do it. Anyways, some of you guys have seen this, and some of you guys have not. If you haven't, great, welcome to it. And some of you guys who have seen it, there's a few more features in here. Things have been cleaned up. We cleaned up a little bit of the UI, nothing super crazy. This is your application manager, okay? So as you are working on finding things to apply to, as you're talking to people, I know I told you guys, I think applications themselves are dead, not resumes, but applications just applying online. I know people who are applying an absolute butt ton and they're just not hearing anything back. Even people who are well experienced, it's just not happening. I've never been more confident than saying this than I am now. I do not think using job apps as your source for your job hunt is even remotely a good use of your time. Everybody has their opinion. People are more than welcome to argue with me on it or tell me I'm wrong or whatever it is. I personally do not think that it is a good use of time. I think that you reaching out to people on LinkedIn in meetups. I mean, this last meetup, I probably got 12 people's phone numbers, all of them super high up in companies, super cool people. Had great conversations with them all. Some of them were super weird, and that was cool too. I was like, how do you get to be so successful and you were this wild? It was awesome, right? But again, if you're not going to these meetups, you're not reaching out to people on LinkedIn and making organic connections, I think you're going to have a very, very long and very, very rough job hunt. So this tool is here to help you with that exactly. So you'll see down here, I have some stuff I was testing earlier, ignore all that. But you can filter your stuff. You can add tags to your stuff, which we can go through all that in a minute. Adding new, we can add company name. You have your other stuff. I've got applied, my priority level. This just kind of helps with filtering. Let's say it's a 5. 5 would be oh my gosh, I really want this job. It's my dream job. I get to program robotic elephants or something. Your reach back out date, probably not the best way to name that, but you can set this to any date. Okay. And we'll come back to this in a minute, but we can set our link. I'm not going to for now. We have our description. I'll add the hello tag, add application, and you'll see it comes up here. From this, this entire site is actually hooked up into the Code Campfire Slack channel. And so whenever you guys are using this, if you have a reach out date tomorrow, today's the 29th, you have a reach out date tomorrow, and you have your reminders turned on, Slack will actually ping you and be like, hey, you told me to reach back out to you about this specific company in a week. Why is that so important? Well, because we just talked about and picked on Darren for, right? Darren never reached back out to the guy. Granted, he's been moving. We'll give him some grace here, right? But let's say Darren's like, oh, I just forgot. And then I got so embarrassed that it was so late that I just never reached back out, right? Regardless, like this could help you stay on top of it, right? So you literally get notifications not when Preston decides to blow you up with notifications, but when you decide you want notifications, right? It will literally reach out to you with a link and everything to get you right back into this interface so you can use it and continue to use it. Now, you do not have to use this tool, but this tool is free. It is free for all of you to use. There's a fun little dashboard here for your job tracker. We're going to implement something where you can hide yourself if you're shy and don't want to show other people that, you're applying 17 times a day. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it's all private to you. You're not going to see, let's see where Darren's applying to or Dylan, right? You can also set it to remind you every day, and you can actually set what time you want it to remind you. So for me, like when I get done with my morning routine, I actually get started with the day. I set it to 9 o'clock because that's when I actually sit down at my computer and I start looking at all the other things and the messages that I've gotten and whatever and start replying to people. So you can set the time that it reaches out to you as well for the daily reminders and have it to where you come in and actually, basically remind yourself to go in and look for X, Y, and Z things on LinkedIn or find other ways, whatever your heart desires, but do something, right? I feel like a lot of people get really burnt out with the job hunt and they put it away. And then before you realize it, it's been 3 weeks since you've even talked to anybody or put in an app or anything, right? So decent little tool for you guys to use. Another thing we're working with is, let's go back, the GitHub stats page. So you have an about me. We'll talk about the about me in a sec and why I even have it in there, because if you guys have talked to me before, I always tell you to take the about me crap out of your resume. I think it is absolutely useless and it's a waste of space for a number of reasons, and I'll go into that if you're curious. But for the last 30 days, I have been a developer of these things. I've done 149 commits. And I have it about me. Hark, a master of qualities keen art doth dwell herein. I asked ChatGPT to write this. It could say some really horrible things in there. I have no idea. I never read it. But I thought it was really funny. But yeah, you can see exactly what I've done for the last 12 weeks here. And each week this will actually update. And you can actually share this link out to other people and even put it on your resume. So if you are looking to show people that you are consistent and doing what you need to, yes, you can link your LinkedIn. We are trying to add even more into this page, and we're actually talking with hiring managers and developers what can go into this page that gives them an overview. Now, this is really more for hiring managers, at least right now, simply because every single one of them tells me, if you can build something that gives me a boom, this is the person that I am, this is who I'm hiring, and this is exactly what they work and what they do, without me having to sift through your entire resume, that's what we're trying to build here. So expect this page to change over time. Some of you are thinking like, wow, commits. I can see that on GitHub, you ding dong. You're completely right. But we're experimenting with what exactly needs to go on this and what's actually going to be useful. You can customize it to be the last 30 days. Let's say you just got out of NSS and you don't have nearly as many commits as you'd like. That's great. You can share it for the last 30 days. You can share it for the last 6 months. Or you can share it for all time. Go up here to share link or share stats, and it gives you a link. Throw it in your resume or wherever you want to. But again, we will be updating this and so on and so forth. But yeah, Again, like we are talking to real people in the real world about what they're looking for here and trying to implement it here in Code Campfire for you guys. It's all free to use. You don't have to pay for anything. Unless you just want to send me your, Venmo, like that'd be cool. Maybe you could Cash App me. I wouldn't say no. But other than that, like all of this is for you guys to use. And if you have questions or even recommendations, you are more than welcome to reach out and tell us like, wow, this is really bad, Preston, or that looks really great, or wow, like you're not as useless as everyone told me you were. Dollars for Preston. That's right, Greg. Let's start that. Dollars for Preston. Whoever Venmos me the most gets a job. But yeah, so we're at the last 15-minute mark here. I've rambled long enough. I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are. Questions, concerns, things you're like, Preston, I think that one thing you said was absolute horse crap. And I'll tell you why it may or may not be horse crap. But yeah, feel free to ask away. I'm going to turn on my light because I look like a vampire.
Given what you learned yesterday, what would you say the temperament, I guess, of the market is for juniors? Would you say it's super rough, or
I mean, yeah, it's rough. It sucks. It's not good. I mean, it's not good for anybody right now. No, I mean, it's not good for software developers in general, but it's not non-existent. Like, there are people getting hired. We had somebody on one of our projects that got hired the other day, and they left. Like, I'm not talking about on my work. I'm talking about here at Code Campfire. Like, people are getting hired. So, I mean, everything we're doing here is to give you leverage in those interviews and to grow and actually show, like, yes, I'm hireable and yes, I can do these things. But it's not easy. I've been interviewing with a few of you guys here and there that reach out and, like, ask for help on stuff. And I tell you, like, hey, you shouldn't say that way because basically what you just told me was this, or hey, that, like, felt really weird or whatever. There's a number of ways to go about it, right? We are trying to make the job hunt a little less lonely for you guys because that was something that, I mean, it really took a toll on me after NSS. I had all these friends. I had this whole support group. I had people finding jobs, and I didn't get a job. I didn't get a job for like 5 months when the job market was good, right? In the last 2 months, I started learning how to interview, and I was like, wow, like I was doing literally everything wrong. If you guys are interested in AI projects, there's a wait list on the website as well, whether you want to be a team lead or just a dev on it. But either way, we're trying to present you guys with opportunities, get you around other people, and send you in the right direction. Because again, I did a lot wrong in my job hunt. If I'd had somebody be like, wow, literally like 90% of what you're doing is completely wrong, like I probably would have got a job a lot sooner. Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
What you got?
So at the beginning of the discussion, we were talking about hold on. I've kind of forgotten. I had it ready, and then I forgot what I was going to ask.
Oh, you good?
Well, it's okay. I've got a second one. Anyway, so with the applications for job postings getting so flooded right now, right? For me, it's kind of difficult to, like I can understand going to an interview and getting prepared for that, but my question is, if these job postings are getting so flooded with applications, and maybe there's a job opening that I'm interested in, and I know that my chances of being seen are really low because of that flooding, I kind of want to make a connection with the hiring team. So if I were like to reach out to the hiring team of some company, despite the fact that their post is getting flooded with emails of resumes, right? How do I make like a first good impression and get my resume actually seen by someone in that hiring group?
Yeah.
Because you can't. It's making a connection takes time. And if you really are wanting this sort of job that they're offering, you don't want to maybe be too forward, but you want to be to the point,
Yeah.
What would be a good way of kind of handling that?
I had always thought about this, and again, after yesterday, I'm even more confident now. I actually think you're wasting your time reaching out to the hiring team because you had that thought. Everyone else had that thought too. Oh, this job? I want this job. Let me reach out directly to the hiring person. Like, That was another comment one of the girls on the panel said yesterday was, I feel bad. Like, there's all these people that reach out to me. She's like, I get like 100 messages a day on LinkedIn, just on LinkedIn. She's like, that's not my email. It's not anything else. It's like on LinkedIn. She's like, I feel bad because like, I'm just declining people that I just don't know. And like that, you know, they send me these nice messages, but like, I just have to go through and like click. They're just turning them away because they're getting so many, right? Now that doesn't mean like, oh, well, you're screwed. There's no hope. You're never getting that job, right? Like, again, this is something we're covering in the 90-day program, but don't reach out to hiring managers. They are all like, that's what every single person is doing. Every single person is also spamming job apps. So you need to get away from that and do something that A, isn't going to burn you out so fast, and B, will actually lead to a short-term and long-term success, right? Which is, you know, if you're looking at, you know, like we basically always say like to reach out to somebody random. I say random, it's not really random. Somebody on LinkedIn that you think like, wow, I may or may not have a somewhat connection with this person. Like we have like a format basically that we follow of saying, hey, you know, I saw that we had this connection in this way, right? Like I call them the 3 C's. You have connection, and then you have context. So connection is like, here's exactly what we may have in context. We went to NSS together. Or not together, but you know, oh, I see that you went to NSS. I went to NSS. NSS grads have a really big leverage point there because most people in NSS really want to help each other, right? That's like a big part of NSS is people usually help each other, right? Sometimes maybe not, but whatever. But yeah, make the connection. Hey, I see that you like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. Hey, I see that you do this thing. I do that thing. And then context. So showing some form of context for, sorry, my cat is pawing at the door. Showing some form of context of like, I'm currently working on this thing. I'm not going to ask you for a job. Like, don't bring up a job in this first message, or I promise you, you can ask Jamie on this. We went over some of his stuff and picked on him. They will not reply well if they do reply at all. It'll basically be like, oh, I don't know, you know, best of luck, bye. They will tell you, like, if you just say, like, yeah, I'm working on this thing. I'm trying to become a better developer. I would love to pick your brain for 10 minutes. Could I call you, you know, could I steal 10 minutes of your time over a phone call? And the last C is call to action, right? So make a call to action, like, you know, just like on a website, you're like, oh, click here now on this button. Like, no, that's literally what you're doing is telling them like, hey, like, you should get on a call with me at this, you know, are you free at this time? Or are you free at this time or this time? Like, don't just be like, hey, can I like have a call at some point? Set up a specific time, right? You're making it way less effort for them to say no, right? Like you want to make it as easy as possible to say yes. For example, my CEO, I reached out to him. I said, hey, we got a bunch of people. We're trying to put together this thing. Could we use the office on a weekend when I know you're not using it? I promise to clean up. You don't have to lift a finger. I'll have everything cleaned. I've already got everything staffed. All I need you to do is say yes. That man has zero reason to say no. In fact, his reply was, that sounds like a great idea. You should totally do that. In fact, I'll sponsor a breakfast. So anytime you're trying to get somewhere with someone, I recommend you always, what is the easiest way to make, like, what is the way to make this as easy for them, right? I'm not going to ask them out to lunch. People don't have a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time. Like, people ask me out to lunch, and I'm like, I would love to. That sounds really great. I really appreciate the offer, but like, I don't have time for it. I'll hop on a call with you while I'm like going for my run or going on a drive or something, but I just don't have a lot of time for it. Phone calls are easy. Pick up the phone and dial, right? And then we go again. We've spent like 2 or 3 whole talks on that exact concept of, you reach out to them. What do you do next? How does that lead to a job, right? But like, even in that phone call, don't bring up a job. Don't bring up the job market really sucks right now. Maybe you could get me a job. No, I'm not. So it's a process that you follow, and like making a genuine relationship with them. Some of you are probably like, this sounds really manipulative because I'm talking to them and trying to lead it to a job. And it's like, no, actually, I would say, I mean, it's, you know, same thing as using a dating app and trying to meet somebody today. It's like you go out and you talk a little bit, and then if it doesn't work out, it didn't work out. Or if you have a connection, like you might with this person on LinkedIn, maybe not in a relationship sort of way, but in a mentor-mentee type of way or a friendship way. I don't know. But regardless, like, you're showing them that you are a good culture fit, which people, at least in my opinion, are going to look at before they look at your coding ability. Because I don't care if you're great at coding. I could care less. Like, I love that I have a business partner that I do really well with. I love that I get to work with Greg on things. And Lynn, and I've got on a list, right? Like, I've got people around me that I really, really enjoy working with and also do a really good job. But I would take Greg at, let's say Greg's a 5 out of 10 developer, but he's a great guy and he's got good work ethic. I'm not saying you're a 5 out of 10, Greg. I'd say maybe you're like, he may be a 6 out of 10, right? Then someone who is, not going to listen to me, thinks they're the bee's knees, and just runs through everything. And when I tell them what they did was wrong, they sit there and argue with me. Like, no. Because number one, you're just taking time out of my day, and you're making the absolute behemoth of work that I have to do more work. So I would rather explain to someone, hey, like, here's how this works, or here's, this and that. Like, teach them, and then be somebody I enjoy being around. That was another thing that they brought up yesterday was like, I think they probably said this 3 times. Like, oh, if you come into the interview and you're like, oh, I'm doing this with AI, and like, I could change your company and change the world. They are just like, yeah, I bet you can. Please leave. There's the door. Like, they don't want to hear that. Do not be cocky, especially if you're a junior to mid-level. Like, understand that you don't understand, that you don't know what you don't know, and be humble about it and be totally cool with that fact that you don't know what you don't know, right? Tell them that, yeah, I don't really know much about that. I'm assuming I'm about to learn a little bit based off your question or whatever, right? You can get on a list with it, but you've got to show that they also said this too, like, don't come in and be like, oh yeah, I'm great at Python. I'm really great. And then they ask you something that somebody who's really great at Python would know. And you're like, oh shucks, I don't know. Be honest with where you're at. I don't know that. I'd be happy to go learn it. Right. Ethan, does that kind of answer your question? I know, like, it kind of answers the start of it, but eventually gaining that traction with someone and having a good relationship with them that is not the hiring manager who's getting blown up because they're not going to read your message. I've been at my company for like 4 years and I get messages from bots. I don't get messages from real people, like, hardly ever.
Yeah, absolutely. That definitely answers my question. And the reason I wanted to ask was because I did take the time to reach out to one of the hiring managers in such a way, I was like, checking out their company and everything, finding things that I really liked about it, trying to align my values with theirs. And so I sent a message to one of the hiring managers. It was pretty lengthy and it was pretty disheartening when all they said was like, hi. So yeah, I definitely wanted to ask about that and make sure I'm not, going to continue wasting my time. But because I would imagine, just as you said, people have thought about that as well. So it's also really competitive there, aside from submitting applications.
Yeah, it sounds like that hiring manager was too nice to just absolutely read you unread and crush your heart, but also way too busy to actually dive in and give you some crazy full in-depth answer, right? And you said it was pretty lengthy. Don't do that. Like, 5 sentences max. It should be short and sweet. Like, nobody wants to read your novel. If you send me a novel in Slack, I promise you, and some of you guys are probably going, crap, that was me. If some of you have sent me a novel in Slack, I promise you, I've copied that whole thing, put it into ChatGPT or Claude, and said, summarize. And if I need to go in and read more detail on it, I will totally do that. And sometimes you just need to get all your thoughts out or whatever, and that's totally fine. But I am going to go in and summarize it. And if you're someone I don't know, I've never interacted with, I have no tie to, and you're just like asking me for a job, like, I'm probably not even going to do that, to be honest with you, if it's like an absolute novel, right? But I know that sounds mean, and that sounds rude, but it's like, if I did that for every single novel that was sent to me, I'd probably lose like 45 minutes of my day. Which again, like, sounds really rude, but that's me being very honest, right? And these people may be even more busy than I am. I have no idea, but yeah, does that kind of make sense too?
Sure. So I remembered my earlier question I was going to ask. I got all combobulated, which was when we were talking about, not having to worry about being language specific in our job hunt, because there were some attributes that we could say quantify developers in a different way, such as learning quickly, being coachable, things like that. My question is, so given that so many of us are from NSS, and though we do already have these skills, I still think it's necessary to have our hard skills on there, like what languages we've learned and everything. But how would we make it more unique to who we are? Because not only then are we saying that our resumes are now flooding the job market, but they're all very, very similar. So how do we, without having like an about me section, right? And I can understand not having an about me section, right? Because, it's just they're looking for keywords and things like that. How can we make our resumes more unique to who we are quickly or like briefly to set ourselves apart if applying or if our resume is seen by someone else?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question too. And it's like my buddy Brandon did it better than anyone I've ever seen, actually. He did QA. Being at 40AU, like I've worked with Home Depot, I've worked with Tivity, I've worked with HCA, I've probably worked with over 20 different companies and like probably over 30 different teams. In like the 4 years that I've been there, give or take those numbers, but it's somewhere around there. And so in his resume, he has like a section in there where he's talking like, in his skills or whatever, he says something like capable of, this and this, like it worked with this, jumped from this to this, like I know this and that. And at the bottom of the whole thing, it says a TLDR, which is too long, did not read. It said, I pretty much know any ticket management software known to man, which like isn't like that big of a thing to put down at the bottom, but it made me laugh because I was like, that's like it. You went from this like super professional thing to like, I pretty much know any Jira, Trello, GitHub projects, whatever that you can throw at me. And then there's another one where he's talking about like his overall job at 40AU and being in QA. And at the bottom, he had another TLDR. And it said, basically I click things and wait for explosions or something like that. I was like, that's really funny. And that is exactly his, like, he's like a very dry, but very like to the point and well-spoken person. So like, again, like get creative with it. There was a lady, like this is probably 20 years ago, but I remember seeing it on the news and be like, whoa, like I'm going to do that one day. She literally she went to apply to Lego and wanted the job. So she made her resume a box and like designed the whole box and everything. And it was a Lego kit of herself. She got the pieces together. The resume inside was the instructions on like how to build it. And like at each step was like saying something about her. I don't even know if they read the whole resume, but they hired her. Dave Burzak, who is an instructor over at NSS, I love that man because I don't know if you guys have seen his videos, but they're awesome. He might be like my real world hero. I won't ever tell him that. Maybe he's in here. Is he in here tonight? Oh, it's going to be so embarrassing, guys. He's not. We're safe. We're safe. Don't worry, guys. We're safe. No, he is hilarious, man. He, on his job hunt, back when I don't remember if he was trying to work for T-Mobile or if he was like just trying to do marketing for his branch at T-Mobile, but he made like these rap videos of him like dressed up as like, I don't know, just like as a rapper, I guess, and like, but still wearing like T-Mobile bling and stuff. And he would rap about how his branch was so much better. And then when he got into software development, he didn't go spam his job apps. He spammed this YouTube video of him rapping about how he'll make your app better and like rapping about APIs. It is the funniest thing known to me. It's awesome. Like it makes me smile every time because he was so unique with it. And I talked to him about it too. I'd actually love to have him come do a talk one day, but he literally came up with this whole thing, and he's like, I would rather somebody see that and know exactly what they're signing up for and hire me, because again, people are looking for something really specific. Like if it were me hiring and I saw that, I'd be like, I didn't even listen to the lyrics of his video, but I got to talk to this guy. I've got to. Like that's hilarious. And impressive that he took the time to put it together, right? He took more time than somebody just putting together a resume. Like he obviously cares. He cares about some part of it, right? That's worth having a conversation about. So again, you don't have to go make a Lego kit or make rap videos. I mean, if that's what you want to do, cool. But really and truly, man, I think your time is going to be best spent, talking to people that are in the roles that you want to be in 2 to 5 years, and showing them that you're different, right? Like we all have different. Wow, this chat is like blowing up. You guys have sent 15 things. I have not seen this. Oh, is that the rap, Jamie?
He wrote a GitHub song to he was my instructor in DNSS, and he wrote it was a rap of how to use GitHub.
Dude, he's hilarious. It could be 20 years from now, and I'll probably think back and go, remember that guy who made a rap video about like where is he at? Like, let's go hire that guy, right? But yeah, I mean, it's people are looking for culture before they're looking for anything else. And if you get in with people that are like, there are people that I've reached out to on LinkedIn and talked to, and like, sometimes we talk for a year or two, and then we just kind of fizzle out and stop talking. Sometimes, there's some people I still talk to. There's some people from meetups that I talked to him that day, and I'm like, wow, like me and that guy are gonna be best friends, and we never talk again. And there's other people I'm like, I didn't really think that I was gonna talk to people, or to you, but hey, here we are, and it's 2 years later, right? Greg said Oracle recruiting event happening next week. Yeah, they had a guy from Oracle at this event too. Not Oracle. I forget what it was. Doesn't matter. But yeah, like, go to these events, guys. There's all sorts of random people there.
I'll be there. Come say hi.
Ooh, Greg's gonna be there. I don't know if I can go anymore, guys.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be sick that day.
There's not a development experience with me.
Ooh, I'm gonna be really sick that day. No, but yeah.
I will say Oracle's recruiting pretty heavily. If you live in Nashville and you apply, you go to the top of their list right now.
Yeah. That is another big point. Do not hire for remote.
Are they recruiting for data analysts also?
I don't know. I mean, I think they're hiring for a lot of different positions. I think there was some data analyst roles on some of the AI positions they have open. There was a different AI event that happened a few weeks ago over at Oracle. They're over in one city, or not one city. They're over in Capitol View. And I believe there was some open data analyst roles that they were talking about some of the AI initiatives they're working on. The Oracle website has all their careers, and you can kind of filter down by them and see everything that's open. And like anything that's listed as like Nashville or Austin, they're like preferring Nashville for anything OCI.
Yeah,
and
OCI would this event be good to go for, even as the data person?
Potentially. I mean, so in that link, if you go to it and read the event, it has at the bottom leaders for, and it's their data platform, development platform, containers, AI platform solution, support middleware, and Java platform. And so if you look through their open positions should have the department that they're for. And so you might be able to link them up that way of like, hey, there's this data role I'm interested in. Maybe it's on their data platform. And so at that point, I'd say, yeah, it would be a good event to go to because like the data platform is going to be present there.
It says, yeah, meet with leaders from data platform. Okay.
Well, you made a comment there that I want to comment on real quick. You said, is there, is it going to be good for, for data people? Like, it could be that every single person at that meetup is going to be someone who is a developer and not in data analytics and may not even be a hiring manager. But like, keep in mind that even though that person may not be that, like, if they like you and you're showing that you are a consistent communicative individual and whatnot, like, they may know somebody else who is. I've heard of that a pretty decent amount too.
Yeah.
Like, don't just think like, oh, you can't help me.
Right.
Doses and just peace out. Like, no, like, talk to that person, have a good time. Like, like, it's about making relationships. It's about making friendships. It's about finding mentors, and just meeting people, right? Because you know what? 5 years from now, maybe you kept in touch with that dude here and there, and maybe you end up helping him get a job, or vice versa, right?
Yeah.
I've had that exact same thing happen to me. So, yeah, I mean, don't just write people off. You're like, oh, okay, well, you're sort of new in your role or this or that. Like, have a conversation. You have no idea where to lead. You have no idea.
Right.
So, I know we are over time. If you guys have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them real quick. Otherwise, I'm gonna go sit in my bed and cry like I do every single night, and think how I failed you all. because you don't have jobs yet, but we're gonna get you there.
Don't cry yet. Cry in 90 days.
You.
Hold all your tears.
I'll hold.
The program failed. None of them were hired. I hope not.
No,
That'd be awful.
I promised them jobs. I promised. I swore.
I guarantee not financially back. Sorry, guys.
There's like Preston promised me a job. That's so funny. Oh man. All right. Any more questions? Going once. Going twice. Oh, what you got?
Is the best way to keep up with like networking events like through meetup.com, or
Let me tell you about the super cool website that Greg Billings himself, the man, the myth, the legend, put together. It's called Nashville Tech Builders, everybody. And it's the bee's knees. It's got meetups. It's got more meetups. I mean, it's got some meetups. He's got a whole thing on there where you can like subscribe to different meetups and like when you want to hear when they're coming back. Meetups also really great, but to be honest with you, I'd prefer something like what Greg's made on NTB, because you can like really specify it and like have it remind you of specific things that you want. Don't know if Meetup can do that because I didn't care enough to look, but I know his does that. So
cool. Yeah, thank
and
you
I'll
so
tell you,
much.
like the way I found this one, it was actually emailed to me because I went to the like tech happy hour, which like actually unfortunately is happening like right now. And I met someone there, and like we were talking about like, you know, I'm interested in some positions at Oracle, and like I'm kind of keeping my eye out like at that company. And then like we exchanged business cards, and then he saw this recruiting event and he emailed about me and was like, hey, saw this, remembered our conversation, and I wanted to make sure you saw it. So, you know, the other connections you just make with other developers, like, you know, people help each other out. And so it's always good just to make connections and talk to people and hang out and get to know people. Cause, you know, if you mention I'm looking at this company and then they see there's a recruiting event happening at that company, they'll let you know. So
to give you guys a better idea of this exact thing, I'll give you an example from yesterday's meetup. There was a guy there named Eric who works at Caterpillar. He's in Caterpillar Finance, which is actually where my sister works, and she's been there for about a year. And she is getting just like, she's doing a great job at her work, at least I assume from what she tells me and everything. And she's getting really bogged down with stuff, and she's looking for a new role. And this guy that is in Cat Financial and I were talking, and as soon as I walked up to him to say hi, there was a speaker behind me. And the speaker started talking, like somebody was talking into it. And it sounded like somebody was like right behind me. And I turned around, there was nobody there. And I was like, do you hear that voice too? And he goes, no, I don't hear anything. And I go, oh, they're back. The voices are back. Like, this was like a professional that's been in his job for 25 years. And I'm like, you don't hear those voices? So like, they don't always have to be these like super serious things. But again, this morning, you know, I have a morning call with my mom and sister. I know it's really manly. But yeah, I have like a 5-minute morning call with my mom and sister to see how they're doing and stuff. And she was telling me about how everything at her work is just falling apart. I was like, let me see if I can talk to this dude and see what happens. So, I mean, they may talk, they may not. But again, like, and she may not even be in tech, but it's a great way to like, you know, network with people. I mean, go to these meetups, talk to people. Like, it doesn't have to be some super serious, like, yes, when I'm working on this application, it's going to solve world hunger. So, yeah, go to meetups, talk to people.
It's good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Preston.
Thank you.
You better be solving world hunger. Greg, you're really aggressive tonight, man. Are you okay?
Determined to stop.
He's upset about a smoker.
I gotta go to the gym. It's all chest today, you know.
Do what?
Going to the gym, I'm gonna do chest today. It's a little inside joke between me and Preston.
Guys, I only work out chest, okay? If anybody else asks, if you think I have big biceps, you're wrong. I only work out chest. Oh man. Well, cool. If you guys need anything, oh yeah, what's up?
I was just saying, see ya.
Oh, peace. If you guys need anything, please reach out to me. Do not be a stranger. Show up at my house at 3 a.m. I don't know. Whatever your heart desires. But yeah, reach out. Let's talk. Talk about our feelings.